welcome. This is the Beyond Take Two podcast brought to you by Beyond Hollywood International Film Festival. I am your host, Madge, and unfortunately, there's no Veronica today. But we do have a special guest in the building with us. This woman is the 2023 BHIFF award winner for the best web series or pilot. She is a filmmaker. She's a teacher, a writer, amongst other things. And she is here today to share her story with us. And we are so happy to have you here. Miss Micole Williams is in the building, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me.
How you doing?
To be here, yes.
Awesome. So we're going to definitely get into your story. But first, we have our buttered up segment. Okay. So we got to try this popcorn. So today we have Popcornopolis caramel and kettle mix. So what we do, we like to try the popcorn, rate it 1 through 10, give them a shout out. You know, since we're movie watchers, we love popcorn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's try it out.
Okay.
You have the honors.
I'm going to take 2 of them.
You don't take 2.
2 tones, so.
You gotta try them together. Try one together.
I like them.
Yeah.
Because it's sweet. You know, like I like the sweet and salty mix. Caramel, I can taste that. I would say a 10.
You give it a 10?
Yeah, I'm not a big popcorn person.
Okay.
But when I do eat popcorn, I either like it really cheddary-like or white cheddar.
Okay.
And if it's sweet, I normally like sweet and like the salty kind of.
Caramel.
Yes.
Popcorn,
And sometimes I feel like with caramel, it can be kind of too something or too sticky.
Right.
I was noticing that one was like, okay.
Right.
I could actually,
It's kind of the right balance.
Keep that in my purse and be okay.
Definitely. I'll definitely give it a 7.5. It's pretty good.
7.5.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Really good quality. Popcornopolis is always pretty good. But there it is. Let's give them a little shout out. You see the bag. It's pretty good. 7.5. Micole gave it a 10. So definitely go out and try it out. Popcornopolis, caramel, and kettle corn. All right. So Micole, tell us a little bit about where you are from and how'd you get started in film?
Where am I from? I'm from Houston, Texas, originally.
Okay.
It's so funny. People say my name so differently. And it's like normally people I grew up with, they say Micole.
Right.
But it actually is Micole. So I have
it's
a dance.
Micole.
Yeah, so I have a dance for it. It's like Micole. And that kind of helps people remember how to pronounce it.
Okay.
And so I would say growing up, I grew up kind of in a interesting part of Houston. It's called Sunnyside.
Sunnyside, okay.
Sunnyside is kind of a tough part, but we had such a bright existence because of our 3-generational, I would say household.
Okay.
A lot of times the grandmother is the one in the house.
Right.
Making sure you are reared right. And
exactly.
And then also your mom is working hard and that kind of thing. And then a lot of times our families all knew each other in the same way. So it's like the kids we grew up together, but our parents knew each other and our grandparents knew each other.
Okay.
So it was kind of an interesting upbringing.
Now, where's Sunnyside? Because I went to Texas Southern for a year.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow. Small world.
Yeah. So that was pretty. I forgot what ward it's in.
So 3rd Ward, Texas Southern is kind of more there. So it's not too far. I mean, it's about 20 minutes away. So
okay, not too far at all.
On the south side, I guess southeast, southwest, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Dope. So you grew up in Sunnyside. When did you? Well, were you like always into film, like writing or like directing or acting, anything like that?
It's funny because like that environment, a lot of times you're groomed more to be a teacher or a nurse or,
Right.
those types of things are more common.
Right.
So anytime it was like a creative job mentioned, that was something that I think kind of was different. I would have to read about those things.
Okay.
Because I probably wouldn't be able to be like, oh, I want to do that.
Right,
and
right,
then
right.
find somebody down the street who's doing that.
Right, right.
And so I would say that I was always a creative kid.
Okay.
It's funny. I grew up as an only child for 15 years. So that kind of, even though I have a little sister,
Okay.
within our family, we always joke about we're separate kids in a
Right,
way.
right.
So what happens with a lot of only children, you find a way to entertain yourself.
Yeah,
So whether you're with friends or by yourself, you kind of find different ways to not be bored.
Right,
So
exactly.
for me, with friends, I was kind of like the bossy kid, and luckily people weren't mad at that. They might say something now later, but luckily I had some really good friends where they were just more easygoing.
Dope.
And what would happen is, you never know what would happen if you come in my room.
Right.
It maybe one day we're imagining this or imagining that the next time. So it could be playing school one day.
Right.
And then maybe all of a sudden I'm a business owner.
Right,
this is my shop.
This is a store. Right.
So it just kind of, just like kids play, I think taking the role as director in that lane, that kind of came easily for me.
Yeah.
And then I had people who were very supportive of, interacting with me and these stuffed animals.
Right.
I wasn't a doll person, but I always had like bears and stuff sitting around where whatever, it's crazy to think about it now, but like whatever we were doing, they somehow were interacting with it.
So. Right. Well, you got to have a vivid imagination when you're an only child, right?
Yes.
Like, you really have to get creative because, if mom's working or pop's working, nobody in the house or, they kind of doing their own thing. It's like what you gonna do? You gotta figure it out. So
exactly.
Yeah, that imagination comes in like really, really keen for like only children.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right, so you have a younger sister now?
I do.
And she's 15 years younger?
Oh, yeah. So she's now an adult, but, she'll always be my little sister.
That's the baby.
Yeah, so it's funny how she'll be like, I am grown now.
Right.
Like, no.
That's awesome. So, when you graduated from high school, you went to college. What college did you go to?
I graduated from Prairie View.
Okay.
Yeah,
Prairie View. I know Prairie View. And you went there for your teaching credentials, correct?
No, I actually didn't.
Okay. What did you get your?
I was more focused on journalism, so I went for mass communications, and that was the safest ground because I was like, when you know what you want to do, but you're not sure.
Right.
It kind of was safe ground for me because I was like, at least I'll learn about all aspects of communication as opposed to pinpoint one thing. But my emphasis was broadcast, so that's where my focus was.
Okay, so, but you did go into teaching after.
After, yeah, I minored in English.
You minored in English.
Because my family bullied me into doing that. They said, we're not paying. They didn't say it like that, but basically, you know what they say.
Mama Williams was like, no.
Yeah.
You get that minor at least.
If in that field is to this and to that, you need to have a backup plan.
Right.
And also just other people. It's just funny how that is. And so minoring in English, I was like, I'm going to be teaching soon or teaching at some point.
Okay. So what happened right after you graduated? Did you go straight into teaching or did you get like a journalism gig, news or anything like that?
A lot of the stuff that I did in journalism was really in high school and college.
Okay.
A little bit after.
Okay.
So I had graduated from a high school that turned out to be like an Emmy award-winning high school for media arts and media broadcasting. They were really like, when I say I had more experience going into college,
right, than most people.
Yeah, it was kind of weird being able to get college credit in high school if I had gone that route.
Wow.
So I worked at a public radio station.
Okay.
While in college, and I interned at 97.9, The Box, and 102, Magic 102. Those are Radio One companies, and so, or affiliates, and so.
Shout out to Radio One.
Yeah.
That's black owned, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't at that time. It was
really
Clear Channel, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
And then I was kind of there. I'm always there, like when things are transitioning. And so it was more. Once I graduated, I did work as an artist for the most part.
Okay.
In makeup.
Okay.
So I was doing that freelance after. I was also working at it was a boutique by Chloe Dow. She was a Project Runway winner.
Okay.
Earlier season. I don't remember the season, but I was working there. And so kind of I had like 3 jobs, 3 kind of artistic sales jobs.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I had gotten, it was just this weird conversation I had with God.
Hey, all conversations with God could be,
they can be
considered
weird.
A little weird.
Yeah, it was just interesting how it kicked off a whole different career.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So you do your radio thing. When does actually like filmmaking come into play? Because like your film, and God bless you. So I didn't get to watch all of it, but I caught the beginning, and I know it's really good because the judges picked you. So, but you came to LA to pursue your dreams in filmmaking. When did that happen?
That is kind of like freshman year. Freshman year, this abstract thought of, filmmaking came to be. I had a couple of friends where we had that in common, that we wanted to be filmmakers.
Yeah.
And it was such a hard thing.
Right.
But, you find your avenues where you can get training in different ways.
Exactly.
Because if you don't have a lot of money, sometimes filmmaking can be kind of elusive.
Yeah.
And it's just something that a lot of other people can do. But it can be done, of course.
Right.
But in my line of work, or in my, upbringing and in my environment, it kind of was, is this something I really can do?
Right.
So I started buying all these books. I taught myself how to screenwrite. And so I had been writing stuff on paper more so. And I still have a bunch of stuff in bins of just me trying to, start stories. Maybe
Right.
So that's there. And then journalism really helped me, because that's when I started learning the camera and started learning how to frame things and started learning how to edit. My teacher was really awesome. They all worked in news, so they were really good and really precise. And then they also encouraged us. Sometimes you'll get teachers who are not really happy and they did not, do what they wanted to do.
Right.
And they can kind of change the dynamic of how they treat their students.
Right.
Luckily, I had, media teachers who were they were at the top of their game, and they just poured into us. And
Definitely.
if we were shining, they wanted us to shine more. So one of my teachers, he entered a film that I had directed, produced, and edited. He entered into a Telly Award competition. And I was like, I don't know what that is.
Right.
He came back with an actual win.
Wow.
And I was like, don't even know. But just
what was the film about?
It was actually a music video. So what they did, the assignment for the class was take an old video or take an old song.
Okay.
And put your spin on it.
Oh,
and so my group and I, we did Car Wash. And so it was about 7 of us. And, I remember just the concept, coming up with the concept, we can show ourselves and maybe we can make it like we were in the 70s.
Right.
As kids. And then we can be grown-ups in the end. So we used a lot of our parents.
That's cool.
End, they were supposed to represent
Right.
But we were actually at a car wash, living out. I love that movie so much when I was young. So a lot of that stuff, just watching TV and going to films, I really wanted to be like the female Spike Lee. So that kind of was what was happening. In college, I really was able to kind of branch out and actually experiment and do more filmmaking as opposed to just journalism.
Right.
Packages and things like that.
Okay. So you graduated from Prairie View. What happens right after that?
After graduation, I pretty much want to write a book. I want to I listened to this great filmmaker by the name of Melvin Peoples. And hearing him say...
That's Mario's father, correct?
Yes, and I'm always listening to how to get things done.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I knew one thing. I may not have had enough money to make a film at that time, but I knew I had enough money to write a book and get it published. And so when I heard him say that, I'm one of those people, I'm like, application is everything. I'll find something and then I'll run with it.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, let me do that. Let me submit my ideas in that form.
Okay.
And that way I already have, no matter how much the budget is, no matter how much savings I'm putting into it or not, you at least have the story at its highest point.
Right.
I think that's something that people kind of don't realize when you are able to write the book.
Right.
You know, you can have the mansion be described. Whereas if you're doing a film, you have to kind of really find the best ways to make sure you're not cutting corners and show that explicit scene the way you want. So that was on my mind. And I'm more realistic at that time. And I'm also growing up during a time where our world is changing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are finding they don't have some of the freedoms that they thought they did because 9/11 had happened my freshman year in college. And so it was just kind of like, you know, our world was changing.
That's funny. We're in the same class then.
Oh, really?
That happened. Yeah, I was in TSU when 9/11 happened. Yeah.
Woke up one morning getting ready for the semester, and it's like, what are they talking about on the news?
Right.
You know, and then it's like, everybody's scared now and going into that pandemonium and just like, oh, is the world going to end?
Right.
So I remember a lot of that kind of stuff. And I just remember like, I'm always documenting things, you know what I mean? So I remember my experience, but I never have been able to finish writing stuff from start to finish.
Right.
I know like by that time when I graduated, I was able to do that. I had like a story to tell. And it wasn't my life. You know, it was just more so through fiction novels. And I was like, so, you know, that was really the focus. And so I was like, I'll work so I can fuel my dreams and we'll see what happens. So I always thought about moving.
Okay.
And talked about that quite a bit. Like, you know, at that time I thought it was New York. I never really, LA was a later idea in my opinion. Because a lot of times people were telling me when I would ask people about film, they would always kind of, and I felt good about New York too.
Right.
So that was really where my mind was. If I were to move, I was trying to move before high school.
Okay.
Or not before, but I was trying to move after graduating.
After graduation. Okay.
And, you know, live on the East Coast of school there. But, you know, when 9/11 happened, everybody was like, see, we told you not to do that.
You gotta stay at home.
Yeah, see,
make sure
you know,
close to family.
Yeah, you see how it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
And everybody means well, but my spirit is not the type to fear that much.
Right.
I mean, you of course having caution and using it is important, but when I'm saying like naturally, I'm not that kind of person.
Right.
I'm always like I can see something else outside of fear.
Right.
And I want to go to that. So something was calling me to always move in order to really creatively, you know, expand my horizons, I guess.
Wow. Okay. So you wanted to move to the East Coast. Did you get accepted to any schools on the East Coast?
I didn't even go. I didn't even try.
You didn't even apply.
Yeah. After that, like, we're paying for it. This is how it's going to go. Hey, honor your parents. They paying for it, so I'll figure something out later. And
are you a parent now?
I'm not.
Okay, so as a parent now, it's yeah, I feel them.
You do.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, not. You just got to know your kid, right?
That's true.
You just got to know your kid, and I mean, you seem like you're a pretty well together person. I'm pretty sure you were cool in high school, but sometimes you just don't want to let go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want them to stray. You want them to kind of find their own, but just not too far away from the house. And you know, so like my oldest, he's going to Hawaii.
Wow.
For college. So
college, nice.
And I'm just like, man, that's just kind of far. You don't know nobody out there. I'm just but you know, it's like, you know, you gotta let them find their lane, and you know, take chances, and you can't be afraid to let them fail or let them succeed. You know what I mean? Like either or.
Definitely.
Like you gotta give them that opportunity. Well, I mean, Hawaii is cool. There's not a lot of stuff to do out there. I don't know if he's gonna get bored or not, but
what is he into? Is he creative?
That's the crazy thing. Like he wants to do film.
Okay.
But I'm like, why you gonna go to Hawaii and do film? Like,
hey, you never know what his calling is. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's
might
true.
be something waiting for him specifically to do there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. We're going to say a prayer for him.
I
Pray
know.
for the kid.
Good, yeah. I'll stand in agreement that
Man,
it'll
indeed.
go really well for him.
Man, I pray it does. um, so, all right. So you graduate. You wanted to go to the East Coast. You ended up not going to the East Coast. So you stayed in Houston for the next what?
10 plus years.
10 plus years. And what were you doing in Houston?
I bought a home.
Hey,
You know,
ain't nothing wrong with a little real estate.
I bought a home at 25, and I was like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. That mortgage was like, you ain't going nowhere. If you chose this route,
you stuck here now.
you might as well make yourself at home.
Right.
You know, and that's really
Get comfortable.
what it was. I got real, I wouldn't say, I mean, you know, I got as comfortable as I'm going to get.
Right.
And I was like, okay, this makes sense. This is my place. This is my space. I decorate it the way I want. I can write. I can create. I have a studio here. I have a library here. I have, you know, just, it wasn't, and that's something that was a dream of mine too as a kid. I would get these little books or magazines where they would decorate, and I would look at this and I'll cut out, like, this is how I want my house to look. And
Right. Little,
so,
like vision boards.
Yeah. And it just was really fulfilling to have a place to call your own. And that's pretty much what my focus was. So I was like, I'll definitely do work that makes sense to me. And I already knew I was, you know, it's in my blood to teach. I'm always going to be a teacher one way or another. I can run from it. I can quit. It just keeps coming back.
Right.
And so I've accepted that, you know. I accepted that a couple of years ago when a principal and I were talking. He was like, you might as well accept it, you know, because it was such a funny thing. Because I always have lived in kind of like a triple world or triple life. I've always lived a triple life where I have different jobs all simultaneously. And, you know, people deal with that differently. So it's funny when you can have real conversations with people about, like, no, I'm this, and that.
Right.
And they tell you, too, like, you're not just one thing.
Right.
So that was what I was really focused on, is, like, how can I make my life work for me unapologetically?
Right.
Because I could already see as an adult, I was choosing to do things so differently. And people were having conversations about it with me.
Right.
So I was kind of like, is this a bad thing that I'm buying a house at 25? Why is it that person's problem?
Right.
Why are they in my business? Why? And then later on, the same people, it's interesting how they do these things too. Or, they find where, how critical they could have been back then. Hindsight is 2020. Years down the line, they're like, you know what? I apologize.
Well, I mean, buying a house at 25 is no small feat, right? Like that's a big thing. You know what I mean? So when you're taking these chances at a young age and kind of progressing in a way that's probably not in line with everybody else, some people may have a comment about it, So that's you just got to deal with it, But hopefully they still your friends and everything is good.
Yeah. I think it worked out well, because I think when you get older, you realize, and especially when people start having kids, or they have certain jobs where they are tending to younger people.
Yeah.
You realize, like, how your comments and your ways and your ideas that are thrust upon somebody else, you check yourself more, I think, as you get older.
Definitely.
Or even just in general, just as you mature. It may not even be anything dealing with age, but that's just a good thing to be like. Sometimes we feel convicted along the way. And, like, I meet some people sometimes and I'm like, they show me sides of myself that I need to, fix, or, I didn't realize, but I probably have done that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I didn't fault anybody for it. I just distanced myself from that person at that time if I knew it wasn't making my spirit
right. It wasn't good energy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes people just come back into the fold, and you just learn how to, just keep yourself safe if you know that, it is something that is more of a critical spirit, or whatever the case may be. Because when you are told to do something and you do it, and if you are doing stuff based on a higher power, which is some aspect of what the movie was about, those marching orders aren't really to be questioned. So,
Right.
It's like, and a lot of times what I've noticed with people when they are, kind of having these conversations, I always look at their fruit, and I'm like, are they as critical about their life as they are somebody else's?
Right.
Are they producing in their life what they want? Are they producing in their life in general? And when I have these conversations with myself, it just helps me to figure out who I'm really aligned with and who I'm not, because I don't talk to people about their decisions unless they ask me.
Right.
If people ask me what I think about what they should do, I do share my insight, but I always leave it up to them to.
Right, exactly.
It's like, I'm not
as you should. Right.
But I'm just thinking, if I were in that situation, I could do this or that. And so I feel like I just felt like during those times I'm owed that respect as well.
Definitely.
And if that can't be given, then it just makes me know that person, I may have to, kind of change the dynamic of them being in that space, as people are just trying to do.
Yeah, I mean,
be obedient, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you got to protect your peace too.
You do.
Right? You got to protect your peace all the time.
Oh yeah.
People will come in and dump all over. Shit all over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's real. So you got to protect your peace. I get that. How big is how influenced by religion would you say you are? Like, is religion a big part of who you are, like how you grew up?
For me, religion is that word where a lot of people can kind of determine whether or not it's something to focus on as much as it is the relationship you have with your creator. Definitely. That's very important to me.
Definitely.
My faith is Christianity. That's something that is important to me, and actually having a relationship with God, as opposed to just being a religious person. I'm not a religious person. I do have certain things that I live by and follow and keep up to standard, or try to.
Definitely.
But I'm not interested in being judgmental and that kind of thing. I really try to stay in my lane and fix myself before I try to fix the world outside of me.
Indeed.
If I even try to do that.
Right. Indeed.
So operating in that relationship, my relationship is like really important.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I wouldn't associate it like, even though it is a religion that I'm in.
Right.
I noticed that sometimes church people can really not be the same as people who are really trying to do the work and trying to, just kind of, I mean, it could be both. It could be both.
Yeah.
But sometimes people get wrapped up in that with others.
Right.
That type of thing.
Right.
And quoting scriptures and stuff. I'm not that person as much, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. That has its place, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more so just making sure, like, at the end of my time, like, I just would love to hear, like, job well done kind of thing, and just empty out what you can while you're here.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my head is all the time.
No, I feel that. I mean, it's definitely like, what you put out into the world, like, you putting your spirit out to the world. Like, what is your spirit? Is it a good spirit? Is it a helpful spirit? Is it a criticizing spirit? Is it, you know what I mean? Like that's it's huge, and because all that stuff like comes back to you tenfold.
Right.
So it's like what you putting out into the world, you definitely gonna get back.
That's true.
Yeah, Okay. Let me ask you this. So when did you finally decide to come to LA?
2021, March 15th, 2021, I moved.
March 15th, 2021.
So I had decided maybe in January that this has to happen, but I have been thinking about it prior to, but the pandemic happened. So I was planning to move that summer
of 2020.
Okay. Yeah, and it was like, no, you're not going to do that.
So what kind of led to the decision to finally want to come out to LA after, 10, because you said like 10 years teaching and, kind of doing your thing in Houston, pretty much setting up shop. What kind of led to the decision to want to come out to LA?
It was just like a thought process of I had gotten sick with COVID, and it really was like not making sense to me, and it was just like so much stuff was happening so fast, and just to have gotten sick how I did, it was a boss that didn't seem to believe in COVID. It was like, what is going on? And I just was really upset. I was, because people wanted to rush me to getting back to whatever when I couldn't get back to whatever. And I had some symptoms that I was like, what is going on? Nobody could help. So people were trying to figure out like what this was. And
so this was like before the vaccine.
December, yeah.
Okay.
Like I was on break teaching, and I remember like just getting sick by day, and just like it was bearable.
Like getting sicker?
Yeah, sicker. Like, and it was bearable at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And then I couldn't go anywhere. It's just like, so it's just a lot of that, and I talk about it in the film quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of when you see your health declining like that, and yourself, and normally you're not sickly and all of that.
Now you got sick in 2020 or 2019?
Yeah, I brought it in, like bringing in the new year. I was sick in Christmas time. I was sick during the new year, and I couldn't even get test negative until like February, middle of February. So having that, whatever that was.
Oh, you had that long COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it could have been, and that's why I was saying it was like, people are like, I came back and I'm wheezing, but I'm winded. I said, that ain't gonna be me.
Like, that ain't good neither.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Because I'm like, wait a minute, am I gonna die?
Right.
You just like, I know how fast this is doing this. I'm like, let me get myself together.
Exactly. Exactly.
I am not trying to go out at the desk. You read about these articles of people just dying at, just working so hard they don't even realize, and they're just not caring about themselves enough to be like, no.
Right.
Halt.
Put a pause on it.
Yeah, let me figure this thing out and get 100. And that's what I said. I was like, I told HR I just need to get 100%, and I know I'm not going to be able to get 100% recovery if I'm spreading myself thin and just going back into the same environment where I got sick.
So when you got sick, this is 2020, so this is already in the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you teaching from home, or?
That's the thing. That's the craziest part of it. I was one who expressed so much disdain with being in person, because I knew, like, you know how you have these weird feelings and weird visions?
Right.
And I was like, I would probably be the one if they don't get this checked out and have it to where we're secured, and because we are going back, and they just said Germex on the table. Like, I'm like, I don't feel safe. I really don't. So
did y'all take a pause at any time?
We had February. Okay, so remember 2020. The end of it, I think it was March or so.
Yeah, March when it first
started kind of rolling out. The end of the year, we were able to be at home.
Okay.
While that pandemic was starting to pan out. Okay. A lot of parents started not liking to be dealing with their kids too much after that, and they were like, y'all have to take these kids back. Like, bring them back, put them back. We don't care. Just take them back, please. We can't teach them any more than we have been. So remember how parents had, their kids in their disposal, and it was just kind of like those 3 months, the last 3 months we did online. And I was like, this makes sense. This is very smart.
Right.
Until they can figure out things. But we opened back up like nothing was different in August. And so my thing was, I was noticing how a lot of teachers were talking about how scared they were. And they were scared, but nobody was doing anything about it. And see, my background with journalism, I'm not really scared to share, facts or opinions and differences of them. And so I remember speaking with people and just sharing like how I felt. I said, if I can't do anything, I'll advocate for myself. I'm not gonna, I try to advocate for other people, but at the same time, here's where I am. I don't feel safe. I believe that we need to, and since we are not, what are the options? And there were some options, but not enough to, ease that storm. So luckily, what happened with me, I had a great experience where they had, on the leadership side, appointed me to be the virtual teacher. They had they wanted a certain person to be able to teach students that were in the same boat as I was for the district. But it happened so many students wanted to be at home. It didn't even matter. It wasn't really for the district. It was for like schools. They had resident people who were going to be virtual teachers. So I was really excited about that, and I was okay with that. And I was like, okay, we can do this. We can get through this year.
What did you teach?
I'm English language arts.
High school?
High school, yeah.
Oh.
So, but that's the weird thing. I didn't have students in my actual class that year.
Okay.
Like I said, I got sick really from grown-ups. You know what I mean? Just being grown-ups.
So were y'all maxed up in the school and everything?
But that was spreading.
Yeah.
That was spreading real fast. And I was like, I had only turned in grades. And that's all I remember. I've only been around. I know who I had been around. I know whose office I was in. And I hate to be like that kind of thing.
Right.
But it is what it is.
Yeah,
that's who called me and had to, break down what had happened. And I'm like, that makes so much sense because I had already said something is wrong. Something is going on with me. I have some really bad symptoms. And the next thing I know, I was getting a call where people were like, you may want to get tested because we had kind of a breakout situation. So now I'm like,
wow.
And I'm upset, because my health is my health.
Indeed.
People don't realize especially in the Black community, I was feeling that way. I'm one of the few people in this community representing someone who has some prior issues that are hereditary. I work with my blood pressure as well as I can, but I have high blood pressure, based on genes and so on. And I have asthma now because of that. And, and I'm not here to be, dealing with that so much, but that's the truth of what it was. And I did not like that, people can get sick any different ways, but I do remember feeling like it could have been handled differently. It could have been more sensitive, and somebody's crying out for help to begin with. I'm scared. Please fix whatever we can fix. And they did try to do what they could do by, even with being appointed a virtual teacher. That was a really, it was kind of like a promotion, if anything.
Yeah.
But it just, when it happened, I couldn't finish out the year. It just wasn't going to be, I had to take leave and just, try to figure it out. And that's when I was like, you know what? Hey, I've been responsible my whole life since buying, a house and even before that, and just always making decisions that are harder.
Yeah.
And I just was like, let me just chill out for the first time in a long time since childhood. I haven't chilled since childhood. Let me chill out right now. And I don't owe anybody an explanation. And if they're coming at me the wrong way, they're going to realize.
Right.
I don't owe you anything, especially if you played a part in something going wrong for me. So I just am so considerate of others. It hurts me when I just feel like,
nobody ain't caring.
Yeah. And I really just had a moment of like, where am I right now? And I just let it be, a peaceful time as I work through what can get me not only back to how I was, but better to where I'm not falling so fast. Because that was scary to me. Like, why is my health declining so fast? So that,
did you have to like spend some time in the hospital? Or?
I went to ER for different things, because it was like stuff just still like heart stuff or, it just was crazy. Pneumonia, it was different things. So I was like, no, this is not, I need to tend to.
Definitely.
And, a lot of stuff that really helped was just taking time to really, exercise again, walking every day. That helped my lungs to get back stronger. Because it was just, and it made me wonder, like, had I had issues prior to in that area? I don't know. I just know it had never been that bad where it was like what was going on during that time. So.
Wow. So after that, you have a come to Jesus moment.
There you go.
And you say, I'm moving to LA.
Basically.
Okay.
And it was just like, this is the time.
Yeah.
Because you had put it off.
Right.
You did what you thought you needed to do.
Right.
You were obedient. So when he says go, you go. And he had said, yeah, basically this makes sense now.
Right.
And it is what it is. And so I didn't even go with a plan. I just was going, as they say, going stupid, basically. Like, just go stupid to LA. Let's see.
Is that a thing? Going stupid?
Going stupid, yeah. Because everybody's like, wait, you gave up your job? What are you doing here?
Did you sell your house?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, my pride and my joy. I was like, you know what? There's no other way I'm going to get there.
Wow.
There's no other way. And it was kind of one of those things like, if you feel like your life, if you can see your life flash before your eyes, you do some things differently. And it's just that's how it is.
I believe that.
And that's how I felt like, let me live my life.
Right.
I've always factored in so many other people.
Right. What they thought.
Let me do this time the way I know I needed to do it probably whatever years back.
Well, I mean, hopefully you got you a check.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Got you a check. I ain't
yeah,
mad at it.
You don't make any moves unless you know that you can make that move.
Indeed.
So it wasn't stupid in that part.
Right. So you sold your home, and you come to. So you say you came stupid. So you didn't even have the idea of making 365 days in LA.
No, no, that was really later.
That was after.
That
pretty
was
much
later.
after.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was later because that was like more a year and a half into me living there. Wow. My goal when I moved, I said to myself, I want to work in television. Okay. That's all I said.
Okay.
Because I know that I was so much of a skeptic, and people for years, like whenever I would interview people, I would ask them like, oh, okay, if somebody wants to be a showrunner, if somebody wants to write for television, what can we do from Houston? Right. What can we do from our hometown? And they're like, wherever the hell you are, you need to get away from there.
Get the move.
Because they're looking at the television. I'm not going to say who it was, but it's a high-powered showrunner. I don't know how she answered her phone. I found something. This is crazy. I found something while I was in college on the internet.
Okay.
It had all these people's numbers out. And I was like, are these numbers real? I kid you not. Oh, my God. I called one of my favorite, and it's so weird. Oh, I'm not even going to say. Okay, but anyway, I called and I basically shared, I expressed my desire to do. Yeah. And I've done that for years. Mm. And this particular person said, wherever the hell you are, you better get out of there because that area code is not working for what you're trying to do. Mm. And that was the beginning. Wow. So I already knew, like, oh, my God, I knew I should have moved a long time ago.
Make a move.
But I don't know if I'm ready.
Now, when did that happen?
This was 2005-ish or 2004.
Wow. So you're still in college?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This was right before graduation because I remember it was in my junior year because I remember where I was. Okay. And I was a CA during that time, so they kind of gave us a little better apartment than the norm on campus. And I was like, it's always something else you got to do. Mm. It's always something more you have to do. And so this happened years later where I asked another high-powered showrunner in front of an audience of 500 plus at a film festival. And basically said, I read your article. I did X, Y, and Z, which is what this person put out for anybody who wants to work in that line of work to do. Because that's what a lot of people do. They put out information and want you to just go off of that. But then when people do it, it's like, what will you do now? Because I've done that. So what's next? I think I need a mentor, basically. Yeah. I'm crazy. I was like...
I mean, that ain't nothing crazy. I mean,
but
when you're trying to get into something that's very closed off, like the entertainment, and you gotta have a friend.
Yeah,
you gotta have a mentor. You gotta have something to kind of open those doors for you.
Yeah. So
let's say a closed mouth don't get fed.
There you go. And so I asked that question, and the answer didn't really. She couldn't be the mentor. She couldn't be. Anything. And I just was starting to realize, like, even though people say that you need to move, it didn't sit well with my spirit to move. Mm. I just was like, I don't know I don't know if it's just because I didn't move when I felt I needed to years ago. But I just went because I'm like, here they go. They said this, they said that. Everybody says I need to move.
Right.
Let's see what happens when I move. Right. I kind of had that kind of vibe about it.
Okay.
So aside from me being like, okay, I need to get myself situated.
Yeah.
Let's do a 2-for-1. Let's just wrap this thing up. Let's just see,
right.
what goes down. If I move, will it really make a difference?
Okay. So you come to LA. And do you get a show running gig? Like what happened? What happens? I know you explained it in the film. But I need you to explain it to me.
Well, let's see. No, showrunner, that's at the top of the food chain.
You got to work your way up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it can't happen.
Right.
Because you speak into existence. Yes, I want to be a showrunner. That's what the ultimate goal is. Right. If I'm working in television, it is what it is. People know that. That was the goal. And what happened was I got something different. And it was in television. And it was speaking to a side of myself that is very innate.
Okay.
And I watched documentaries all the time. Love documentaries. Mm-hmm. And I document life. And so what happened for me was I was lucky enough to get on the other side of it. So the unscripted side welcomed me easily. And I wouldn't say easily, but it just felt different. I feel like scripted is so different. Yeah. It feels different. Yeah. It feels like you put in so much work and you do all these rewrites and you do all this stuff only to say a no. And then you end up, seeing something on there that you look like you created yourself. And like, wait a minute, you said no to that and then you went and did it? Oh my God. I feel some kind of way about this.
Did that happen to you?
Oh yeah. It's not just the first time.
Can you?
No, I'm not gonna say.
Come on.
Let me tell you what happened with that. Look. I will say this. God told me He'll handle it, so I'm good. I'm gonna leave that there. But backing up to, anybody. Yeah. It's easier to kind of see where it could happen in different forms.
Oh yeah.
If your stuff is sent out in different ways for different competitions, everybody protects themselves, right? Yeah. But it's always to me the writer who's trying to break in that's the most unprotected.
Oh yeah.
And so when it's so much red tape for you to get your stuff out there, that's what I don't like about scripted as much as other things. Because remember, I'm used to getting my stuff out to the public the way I want to. So this mindset of like, I have to go through all these different channels to get a no.
Go through here.
Yeah, and it doesn't get anywhere. Yeah. And I wrote all this stuff and you saw it and you liked it. Oh, that ain't gonna work for me.
Right.
And that's just how my mind is, and that's just how I am in this lifetime. Right. It's just like, it doesn't make sense to me. But I want to definitely see it happen on the scripted side. Yeah. But I'm very grateful that it happened on the unscripted side because I think my roots are what's prevailing right now. Just having that journalism background and knowing you want the truth to be set free. Right. You want to be able to see real life because real life can be just as inspiring, if not more. Because sometimes life is stranger than fiction.
Indeed.
I was just like, of course you want to do documentaries. Yeah. So I was very happy that I got my first gig was actually on a reality show. Okay. It was on Big Brother. Okay. And so I didn't really talk about that in the film that much. But yeah, I was working behind the scenes with that at the very beginning, helping. It's like you're kind of, as a sequester manager, you're making sure no one knows who these people are before they're launched into the house. So that was a very secretive job. They picked people who could, during that time frame, especially keep things discreet. Right. And even among the housemates before they knew each other and just take care of them before they were actually thrust into history. And it was a very historical season, being that it was, granted the first Black winner of that particular season or in that particular show. In general, so after that, I had already signed on to be an AP for Unsung. Okay. And Unsung is like my favorite documentary TV show for the past couple of years. Okay. Like, I've watched every episode.
Now, that's on BT or TV1?
TV1, yeah. And so I worked with them for 3 episodes, and they were specials. So they were more so like bringing together like the first one was the rise of neo soul. The second one was focused on the jazz decade, and then another one was women who were rappers or hip hop artists. So women take the mic. And so it was really cool to, you know, really get in touch with an array of people in order for that show to happen, as opposed to it being focused on one star, and then you go into their lives and you kind of do more of a delve in deeper focus. It was more like a more wide focus at who are the players of that particular genre. So that was a focus. So being on the set of those different specials, it was something inside of me that was like, yes, this makes sense. Journalism and cinematic form kind of coming together. You want to be somewhere where that's merging. And the story is still being told, and you're paying homage to people who have inspired so many people, but maybe didn't get their just due. You know that story so well as well. And, you know, just being from Houston, a lot of times you're doing things that are not known. But just because you don't have it in your backyard to, you know, kind of be among people who are creatives and do it the way we do it here in LA and do it in New York and even in Atlanta, you kind of are those hidden gems, and you have to always be pushed to move. And I think that's something that, you know, has been kind of a burden throughout the years for me. I'm like, why do I have to leave my home? But it is what it is, you know. But to finish what you were saying, that's how 365 Days came about. It was on the end of that season, or my time there. I thought about, wow, I made it a year. I was only going to be here 3 months. God is really good. How can I commemorate this time? And when March came back around, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'll do a photo shoot. And then it was like, no, I started thinking like, you might want to do a documentary.
Share your story. Wow. Okay. And like, who did you have help you with, or did you pretty much like do it on your own?
I did it like a lot of indies do, you know, and indie it. Because it's like, it's one thing to be indie and you still have a huge crew. Yeah, I kind of did it where I was indie. I spearheaded it, and I hired people who were able to work in a smaller group. And so we all wore many hats within our role. And we were comfortable with that. I was really, like 200 people had like applied to do different positions, because I put out like on Facebook and different places. Who You Know is a good platform as well. So all the platforms I've been a part of and found, you know, community in, I expressed what I was trying to do, and it was an array of people sending stuff in. I interviewed about maybe 30 people. For roles like the DP, PA, photography, that kind of thing. So it wasn't a big crew at all. It was just 4 of us. Very small, very intimate, and it got done, you know. And since it was still on the verge of pandemic measures, and it was really documenting some aspect of the pandemic, you know, a lot of stuff that was shown by other people, it was more, you know, video archives or some type of phone image, as opposed to them having to be there and that kind of thing.
So how long did it take you guys to finish it?
The shoot, the 2-day shoot.
It was just 2 days?
2 days for everybody else. And for me, it took me a month to, you know, put everything together in the format of like the first, like a pilot episode or like a short film aspect, however you want to look at it.
But was this like your first kind of like documentary type? Like spearheading a documentary?
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of what I had done, I did a web series that had like 7 episodes. So that was really based on my first book. And so all 7 women, they all represented 7 deadly sins. So they each had their own love tale that I, you know, crafted based on the book and then put together in web series form.
What's the name of the book?
It's Tangled Web of True Love Tales.
Tangled
Web of True Love Tales. And so that was years ago. That was like 2010. So when I first published the next year, that was the focus. So I'm used to that, and that was a crew of 50 plus people because you're dealing with like 7 things. So that was really more intense. And this time I was like, and it worked. I mean, they were amazing, and they were all Houston talent.
Okay.
That was really important to me as well. And, but even the crew, it was just 2 of us, and, so I don't know. I look at it like the guerrilla style filmmaking works for some people.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But yeah, it was it's been small crews, and maybe,
Okay.
that will continue. Maybe not. I don't know.
Now so you create 365 days in LA. When do you decide? Because you're back in Houston, right?
Right. I am back and forth.
Are you back in tell me about your
I'm
status
back and
like
forth.
right now.
I was working with a company out of LA for some time, and that's what was funny because, like, when I was thinking, when I was going back to Houston, that was kind of what I was going back for.
Right.
But I also went back to teaching as well because while I was in while I was in LA, I also was teaching in between shows. So I'm just doing whatever needs to be done within the next 2 years like this because I'm still trying to figure out where I want to live as far as like where can I live, work, and play. That's kind of where I want to be next year. So I'm using this book tour to kind of place my feelers out and just be able to kind of see, all of these cities are my favorite cities that I'm going to visit.
Okay.
For my recent book, which is an affirmations book. So 35 Love Notes to Self is why I'm really here for tomorrow's event.
Yep.
And I'm like, it could very be returning full time. It could very well be Atlanta. It could very well be New York. I don't know. Now, I love New Orleans. New Orleans floods. So
New Orleans, right. No,
I have people there. That's a different situation. I just am going just to visit because I just need a visit.
Okay.
But yeah,
so how tell me about this book tour. How many cities are you hitting?
So far 5. And one additional thing popped up because of like a speaking engagement towards the end. So I've never been to Pittsburgh, but I'm going to Pittsburgh at the end of everything. So I am just really focused more so on, just spreading messages that empower people right now. And, I'm focused on publishing books of my own, but also teaching people how to do that if they need to do that. So I have clients that I'm working with who are in that process of writing the book and then needing somebody to help them get it actually out there to the world. So that is letting me, travel more. It's letting me have more freedom to travel. And that's really where I want to be. And I thought about it for me to be so homebody. Yeah. This season of my life, I'm not trying to do that. I want to have.
I'm just trying to be outside.
Yeah. Let it just be a traveling decade. That's what it's all about right now. Teaching and traveling and writing, and it's just let it be a creative time, but also a reflective time and a very fruitful time too.
Definitely. So tell me about the book. You said 35 affirmations.
35 Love Notes to Self. It is what's gotten me through my time of living in Los Angeles and just trying to find my way and find purpose and find restoration and just find the grit to keep going, you know? 'Cause I think when you're always fighting, like as a creative, I think you're always fighting, and it gets very tiring to have to fight all the time for you would think it was a crime, the way that people treat dreamers in our society. I'm like, because you have an idea and no one sees it yet, you get treated like it's something really bad.
Something wrong with
what you trying to do?
Right.
I don't know what that is. Like, it's just like, what? Or they give you the other, like, this is earlier in my days. I don't get this as much. It's like, it's quiet. Okay. Oh, dead. Yeah, like, it's not a lot of response.
Right.
And luckily, I don't talk a lot about my dreams.
Yeah.
I just talk about when they're done.
Yeah,
you know.
You got to keep it close to the hip, man. Like
do.
Whenever something is happening with me, it's like, I only tell people that kind of like get it, that I know are like, okay, yeah, like if they give me criticism, it's not like, oh, you can't do it. It's like, all right, well, how you gonna figure this part out? Because this is da da da. Ah, okay, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Like
you know what
that,
I mean?
Yeah.
You got to talk to people who are also dreamers, because like, they're going to give you the most fruitful advice, and the things that's really going to help you step in the right direction. Yeah. So I definitely get that.
And that's why you have to move around sometimes.
You got to move
around.
Shake.
Don't be afraid to move around.
You got to move and shake. You single. I don't know are you single?
I am.
I don't know how you still single, but you're single, so you can move and shake all you want. Yes. You know what I mean? That's cool. That is really cool.
I'm enjoying that. I've worked hard to be single.
She said I worked hard. So I had to cut them. I had to cut this. That one.
Because hey.
Had to chop it. Had to chop this one. Had to chop that.
I'm just saying,
I hear that. No, but you're doing your thing. So is the book like? Is it like just full of affirmations, or is it like a story, or
it's
like...
not a story? Okay. It is really written for people. I'm so sorry. We were starting there, and it is a book of 35 love notes to self. So I wrote 35 affirmations that allow people to go on a journey for themselves at the pace that they want, or they can actually go by day. So you have some extras if you're trying to do it by the month.
Right.
But I guess the teacher in me is like, you still have to cement this into your mind and make it personal for you. And I want them to apply them. So on the right side is a journal. So they get to actually fill in the blank of I am. And they can use mine as a springboard,
like
or they
reference,
can. Yeah, but it is really up to them to dig deep and reflect for themselves what they are. Give credit to what you are. I am this. And then at the bottom put, and because of this, I will, because I'm all about action-oriented steps. Yeah. I don't like talking just to talk. I'm not a small talker. I'm all about what are you doing, And so I think for me, having those affirmations helped me remember who I am, remember to determine for myself who I am, define myself, because there were so many, during the time of my move especially, there was so much outside noise I had to cancel. And even before that, because speaking of being single, I've been married for a short time. I've been single for many times and dating, just different people. You learn about, who you are, and you learn how the world sees you as well. And I feel like that divorce was really tough for me. So that's when I started originally writing it. So when you find yourself coming out on the other side of stuff, you do want to share with people, because they could be going through it could be a death of something, death of a dream, or death of a reality that they thought they knew. You have to learn how to talk to yourself before somebody else does, who may not have the best intentions, or they do have good intentions, but not the best
delivery.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Wow, that sounds amazing.
Thank you.
So you're doing the book tour. Where are you going to be? Well, I mean, by the time this posts, we ain't gonna see it. Just tell me where you gonna be at, and
so Alta Adams showed some love, and they're hosting the LA pop-up.
Okay.
And so I definitely appreciate you guys as well. And so for the next visit, I'm going to New Orleans for the Essence Festival. So that's my next stop. So that's why I say I just had to go.
Nice.
Might not be moving there
right.
later on in life, but, I'm going there. And there is one visit that I'll make particularly for the book, and the rest I'm enjoying myself.
Indeed.
Just like even with this visit. And then after that, I'm going to Atlanta, and 3 different places showed love. So I'm definitely letting people sign up for the newsletter so they can be informed.
Awesome.
And I show them those locations, because it is kind of more like a, where are you going to pop up kind of thing. I can give them hints about maybe the food or the ambiance.
Definitely.
And then we, partake in that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, what you were on the
And then I'm sorry, in New York, I have one stop there as well. So
What part of New York?
Harlem, my favorite
Harlem?
part. Yes, and it's so funny. I haven't been to Harlem physically, but I feel
Look, we have all been to Harlem in our spirit, right?
and I think maybe I have for like one little situation where I visited like a landmark, but I feel like the Harlem Renaissance, our ancestors.
That is all
us.
Yeah, indeed.
Zora Neale Hurston.
Indeed.
Langston Hughes and beyond. These people are people I just pay homage to, like with storytelling and poetry and fiction and all of that. So I'm really excited about.
I went to Harlem one time, and I had the best chicken and waffles.
Where did you go?
I can't remember the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh my God, it's I want to say Mama Ruth. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna text it to you. I'm gonna definitely text it to you. But yeah, I love New York. I went to New York one time. I've only been one time, but when I was there, I just felt like the dopest rapper ever. While I was there, I felt like the dopest rapper ever.
Do you rap?
I do rap.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it's just I feel like I should have been born in New York. Like
that's how I feel.
It's dope. It's dope.
I felt
like New York.
That for my childhood up until somewhere in that high school world.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that is funny because people from New York always, at one point in time, they thought I was from there. Or like a lot of my students, they think I'm from there.
Really?
Like, no. And I don't sound like that, but.
Well, you don't sound like you from Houston either.
Really?
Like I met some Houston girls.
Really?
Yeah, a little accent. Well, I mean, you just don't have a down south accent.
Really?
Yeah.
Say I do. That's
really?
Funny. Yeah. And that's what I hear.
It ain't thick. It ain't like I didn't have some thick accent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so funny. I've lived in 3 different parts of the area. So it's like Sunnyside, Missouri City.
Okay.
And then Fresno is where I moved when I moved.
Okay.
Family's houses and stuff. And it's funny that people within the city, they think I sound Southern. More so than others. But it just depends. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I know Missouri City, we have a certain sound.
Yeah.
And then, I don't think Fresno has a certain sound. We don't really say that as much as we say, like, Houston has a sound, Missouri City has a sound. Certain things you're saying, especially like in rap music, you can always kind of know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can always feel like the Houston beat. You always understand the twang, and it's a sound,
Oh, definitely. When I went there, it was like I had never heard of like screwed up music.
Yeah.
Right? So my older brother, before I leave, he's like, "Man, you gonna listen to some screw?"
yeah.
And I was like, "Man, what you talking about?" And I've been doing music all my life, but I never heard like any screw. He was like, "Man, that's where they slow it down."
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh yeah.
So when I came here, when I went there, it was interesting. I was like, man, I don't like screwed up. I'm all about East Coast hip hop.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And then I can't remember what song it was, but it was Screwed Up. And I was like, man, this shit is banging, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's why I don't like a lot of music. If it doesn't have a certain bass to it, it's like you just can't even feel it.
Yeah.
Like when people are doing it right, you feel it. And it's like
I can't remember what song it was, but I was like, all right, I fucks with Screw This.
This
is kind of dope. I think it was like a DMX song, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a DMX song. They had chopped and screwed it. And I was like, all right, this is kind of hard.
And it's so funny now. It's so mainstream. But, yeah, it's a thing. It's a lifestyle. It's everybody kind of knows and pays homage to that because, like, it's funny when Kanye West did the sped up version of it. Like when he's dealing with The Wire and he speeds up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And some people had a problem with that because it's like, oh no, he's doing the opposite and getting it,
Right.
But it's like, don't forget about, kind of gave you that idea. And
he did when the song with Paul Wall. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, what's that song? Drive Slow, homie. At the end of Drive Slow, they had a little screw version that was pretty dope. Nah, when I went there, it was like Lil Flip, Big Mo. Oh man, it was like it just kind of opened my eyes to like.
It's so funny. Bun B just opened up his fast food place. Trill Burgers is actually officially open.
Are you
now.
serious? In Houston?
Yeah.
Wow.
You should see the line wrapped. On IG. You should see the line wrapped around the building.
Did you try? Have you tried it yet?
I want one. I do want one. I do actually eat burgers. And
Trill Burger.
Because I know a lot of people are so vegan. Like, it'll be interesting if they have that on the menu. Like if they're adding that to it. Because a lot of people are definitely focused on that. But I want one.
Trill Burger.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So. Book tour. I mean, you just living your life right now.
I'm just trying to. I definitely am happy to be alive, and
Indeed.
that's always the thing. Just be happy to be alive. You got a chance to just keep doing it and going for what you know and what is better than what you know.
Indeed, indeed. Now I saw you on IG on the picket line.
Yes.
Right? You was out there. Are you part of the WGA?
I'm not. I was pre-WGA. So that was also that reality check of like, there's always a fight, Yeah. As a teacher, there's a fight. There's a lot of, there's a teacher shortage right now. And that's one of the reasons why I was
especially in the South.
Yes. And within the next 3 years, it's supposed to be doubling. So that's extreme because we're already in the hundreds of thousands anyway.
Right.
So I'm like, now on this side, when people are just trying to definitely just express themselves and get the gig. And I feel really bad for, those who, were in that boat where whenever a strike happens, it's always like, fight, definitely fight.
Yeah.
And you want the change to come.
Yeah.
But there are so many human stories along those lines, too. Where what does that mean for the person who just got in, but now all things need a halt? So definitely we need to fight and support, but the main reason for fighting is to see the change actually come.
Yeah.
So I hope reform actually does happen because what is being fought for is really one of those things with streaming residuals not being factored in. It can really destroy like people are just wanting a living wage. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was kind of like, even with the LA existence, I feel like that's a huge struggle.
Oh yeah.
Everything is like they say, it's a gig culture. Yeah. For some people, not for everybody.
Right.
But for so many people, you just always living by gig to gig to gig.
Yep.
And in your life just kind of it's hard. It's a hard journey.
Very difficult.
Yeah, I was just there out of support. I was there since I was more so in the documentary space, not so much, on the scripted space.
Right.
It was really cool, just being in support. And they know that. Like the people I was talking to, they're like, thank you for being here, because it affects everybody in one way or another.
Definitely.
And it's not that you have to be affected by it directly to support. And that's why I just encourage people to be aware of what is being fought for.
Yeah.
So you can find a way to, be a part of the solution.
Definitely. So they're not getting paid residuals from streaming networks?
Yeah. Like, okay, you know how you can get a check for what you've done right here, right now, when it airs live and just in general.
Yeah.
So if it's streamed, some of these syndicated shows, they have supplied us with great memories, and they on television get paid, even if it's not a lot.
Yeah.
Every time they air it, they get something, right?
Yeah.
But if you now have this new, not new, but a medium that is now not really, putting a dollar amount to views and whatever metrics they have, and they're keeping that to themselves, that's where the problem lies. So you're playing these people's shows, but they don't get any compensation. That's where it's starting to...
basically it's the same thing what they did with music. Because like the record companies basically gave carte blanche to the streaming services.
There you go.
And made their own deal and was just like, yeah, you could
There
take
you
the
go.
music, and didn't really include the writers or the art, even the artists in it. So like they're paying like Netflix is probably paying a lot. You know, Paramount is probably paying a lot. Peacock is paying a lot.
Yeah.
But is going to the production companies
There
and
you
not
go.
the writers.
And above the line.
Yeah,
so that's what I was
yeah.
saying. Like showrunner, we know that's top of the line.
Right,
It's not
right.
a person. I was below the line.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I work in the field, like working unscripted, I'm
Yeah.
below the line.
Right, right.
And now what I did with the documentary is a little different. Is I was a writer, producer, director, and did get a distribution deal
Right.
for a cable channel.
Right.
But that's still in its own space, independent.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about, just it's eye opening, and like what you're saying is very much along that same lines, and that's why I thought it was interesting when Snoop stood up for what was going on. He was like, "Wait a minute, y'all got to fix this because this is similar to what happened to us, and it changed the game." Because I was working in radio too when it kind of was starting, or I was a little bit before that. Actually.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was interning, A&R execs actually came and tried to, get their people on the radio. And I thought that was really, I was like, oh, that seems like a cool job.
Right.
Like, that seems like an artist development and all that. And all that kind of stuff started dwindling down. And it's like, wait, where are those people? What happened with that? And it's just like, a lot of change. A lot of change is happening with industries that we rely on for our entertainment.
Right.
But if people don't give people what they deserve, I just fear that we're not ready for that. We're not ready for what is on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because there's enough money to go around.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's
right.
like there's like this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Like nobody should be like you can't have a hit show and you should be struggling. Like
oh my God.
It doesn't even make sense.
I was watching a TLC documentary on that came on about 2 weeks ago, and I was just like, wow, to see that is in the vein of what's happening in music then and even possibly now. It's just like it's been going on as early as we know. And then working with Unsung, you're looking at these different examples of wow, people get so screwed out of their talent. Talent is a very vulnerable place to be.
Yeah.
And you really have to have people protecting you. And even if they are, you still have to be so invested in knowing how to protect yourself.
Right.
Because you put so much out there, your image is out there. Your talent is out there.
People will exploit your art.
Very much.
You know what I'm saying? Like to the nth degree, and you'll be left high and dry. You know what I mean? Like just as much. Like my son, he wants to be a filmmaker. I tell him like, when you go to school, they're gonna teach you how to work the camera. They're gonna teach you. About sound. They're going to teach you about lighting. They're going to teach you how to make, like, the perfect shot or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, all these, new ways to use the camera and, frames or whatever. But, they're not going to teach you about the business. And that's where everybody gets screwed.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a music artist, if you're a filmmaker, you're a director, like, you got to know your business more than you know your craft.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like people will take advantage of you and, will not care in the end.
Yeah.
So
it's really one of those catch-22s because you're like, so many people sign deals because they're like, well, this is my shot. It may not come back around. Here it is. This is a lifetime opportunity. I'd rather do this now and then work it out later.
Right.
But some of those contracts are not
working it out later.
Work it out later.
Ain't no working it out later.
So,
it's like you sign a bad deal and you ain't gonna have the money for a lawyer to actually try to make it right if it is possible. I mean, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough.
It is.
Learn your business. Learn your business.
That's for sure.
Learn your business. Well, Micole, I'm so happy that I got to talk to you today. I wish Veronica was here.
I know.
she wished she was here.
No.
But I'm so glad that you came by and stopped
Thank
by.
you. I appreciate this too. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, did you have a good time at the festival?
I did. That was a great festival. Y'all did a great job with that. And like I said, I couldn't believe it was like a 2-year.
Yeah, that was our second year.
Second
year. Yeah, that was our second year. Yeah.
So I felt like, the community was there. It had the energy. And it just was done well too, like professionally, and met some really great people there.
Definitely.
And, so it was a mixture of, we can learn from each other. We can celebrate the films as well. They were very diverse. I did make a point to go to those who I said, like, I'm going to yours. I'm going to support yours. So I saw quite a few per day. And, it allowed my mom and I also to kind of share in that experience, because a lot of times, I'm going through those experiences myself, or the stuff that I fought for is good when she can now see, like, she got it. She understood it. She had kind of like an emotional moment where she was like, wow, you've really worked.
Was that her first time seeing the film, or?
She saw it on television. She saw it at my screening. See, because we're getting up to being like, this is the first year for me for my film.
Okay.
And we screened June 18th last year. It was a private screening.
Okay.
And I'm sure I sent her before it was even. I was sending her little versions of it. Hey, check this out, please. Check this one out, too. Check this one out.
Right.
I changed this a little bit. So it was a great experience for both of us, because she's truly a covert artist. She's a teacher too. I'm third generation. My grandmother, her and I are all teachers.
Okay.
And she was just like, wow, I had such a good time. She had a good time too. She probably had a better time because, she loves California. I'm like trying to convince her to move out here.
Wow.
So that might happen.
Indeed.
That really might happen. So yeah, she was able to get it. I think it made sense to her who her kid was, and because, we've been through a lot together.
Yeah.
We grew up together. I know that sounds weird, but she had me at 21, so she was a younger mom with me and an older mom with my sister. But we're all artistic people.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you kind of don't get a chance to explore that. But I was really the kid to adult who's like, no, I'm gonna be adamant to explore. I'm not, even if it means I have to live a triple life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna explore creative life, but I'll always be working, to fuel those dreams.
Definitely. Well, I hope that your book tour is a success.
Thank you.
I hope that you sell many books.
Yes.
Because it sounds like a book that all of us needs. What's the name of it again? 35
Love Notes.
Love Notes.
Itself.
35 Love Notes.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Go pick it up right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Williams. Appreciate you for coming through. This is episode 21 of the Beyond Take Two podcast. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Whether you're on YouTube or you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, follow us. We gonna give you the talented people for you to listen to and learn from, and this is what we do, everybody. I'm your host, Madge, and this is episode 21, and we will see you guys next week. All right.